G'day everyone, it's Turbo Tristan. I really hope you're digging this series where we're doing the Resto Mod K20 Z4 Type R engine in the ED Civic. In today's video, we've got a ton more mods for you. We're gonna do a brake upgrade, a suspension upgrade, we're gonna fit the engine, which is most important, and you're gonna see all the issues and fitment dramas that we have trying to fit a very large engine in a very small engine bay. Stick around and see where we got to. Next up for me is to start putting together the EK sedan booster. I've already gone ahead and fitted up the prop valve and put all the lines on for that. So that's all sweet to go there. With all of these wires, I need to work out what we're keeping and what we're not. So for now, I'm just gonna tuck it back up where it used to live, right there, and make some room for the 7/8 master and the EK booster, and we'll plumb that into here with the original lines. Recycle as much as possible, and we're gonna have to try and fit up some Astra power steering pump at some stage. I'm thinking I would like to put it just here in this corner, which will mean chopping out this bit that I've freshly painted, or it goes all the way to the back of the car in the boot, or we put it in the engine bay over this side here. I have not decided yet. I do want to mount the fuel pressure reg and the fuel filter just here on the firewall. That's where I have it on mine. It's really neat and everything works well, so we'll see how we go with that. But the power steering cooler, we're going to keep that here. I've given it a little bit of a black paint again because it was a little bit brown and rusty. So just starting to button up the front end. We've got the light in, and we've got in the master cylinder, and I've moved those wires out of the road, and you can see here I've got the prop valve. These are all original hard lines. We've just replaced the prop valve, which was a really old janky leaky thing from the 80s, to a four-wheel disc brake distribution block or proportioning valve. So that's all buttoned up. We've used all the original lines, so hard lines, just give them a slight bend, just move things out of the road. And we've got the booster and the 7/8 master, which is the best one. According to the engineers at Holden anyway, they recommend this over the 1-inch. And because this is a street car, not a track car, we are running the booster, not the booster delete, although it does make it a lot neater. Billet mounts in, and you can see here my TIG weld job, and I've fitted up the RACEWORKS inline high flow fuel filter, and we'll just run some -6 lines down to the tank there, out straight into the fuel rail here. Now let's check out what I've done up the back of the car. Yep, that's a disc brake conversion from an EK Civic, a 98 sedan, bolts straight on. Now, if you want to know how to do that, I have a video, which is around about 1.5 years ago now, maybe closer to 2 years, on an ED. We bolted it on. I did a step-by-step. I'm not going to do that this time because I've already covered it. But we've replaced these smelly little discs that aren't going to help with performance on the street for a street car. And I've gone ahead and replaced the bushes with brand new SUPERPRO ones. They'll be on the Spool Up website by the time you see this. They come as a set of 2. They're pretty high end. They're an OEM replacement, and they do have some compliance and movement built into them. Unlike the WHITELINE ones that I run, which are just a solid bush, and we've used the other SUPERPRO ones, which are also a solid bush, but these ones are the street ones. Really, really nice bit of gear. And the only thing that I've done differently on these from an EK is I've just used the factory lower toe arms and the factory upper camber arms. The owner of this vehicle may decide to change those out for some adjustable ones. He is looking at some different wheels, so who knows? So we might need to run a little bit of extra camber. And I'm also gonna throw in some coilovers and get rid of those. So let me get this up in the car. We'll get the coilovers out and I'll show you what we're gonna do with that. So I've whipped out the stock suspension. We're gonna switch that out with some MAXPEEDINGRODS T6, T7. Let's see what they are. Let's see what we got. T7s, damn. Okay, so we got the latest and greatest MAXPEEDINGRODS. Now this car is just a street car, cruiser car. Crack the VTEC on the street. It's not gonna be seeing the track. So these will be a perfect compromise. It's not gonna get driven a lot either, so it's like a Sunday every second weekend car. So we're chucking in the MAXPEEDINGRODS, so thanks so much to MAXPEEDINGRODS for hooking us up. We were the first people ever to try the T6 design coilovers and the T7 design coilovers in the whole wide world. And actually the first time we used the T6s, we put them in an ED. So now we're putting the T7s in an ED. So I'm gonna fit them up. I'm not gonna show you guys how to do that. I have done so many brake upgrade tutorials and suspension upgrade tutorials. So I'm gonna get these up in the car and show you everything once it's all done. And just like that, through the magic of YouTube, we have PROTEX brake rotors, PROTEX pads, and HEL brake lines, braided lines, beautiful, and brand new caliper paint. And we've got the SUPERPRO bushes in there, absolute upgrade. And let's not forget about the MAXPEEDINGRODS T07 coilovers. These are the latest ones with the uprated springs and uprated shocks. Absolutely magnificent. Up to the front now. And here's the fronts all done. Again, the EK Civic sedan upgrade. So the 262mm rotors and the bigger pads and calipers with the MAXPEEDINGRODS coilovers in the front. And again, HEL brake lines. Just wanted to point out the pads and rotors are on spool up, and these are both PROTEX Ultra Plus, which is the Ultra Plus track, sort of street spirited driving track pads. We use these on the racetrack in Ronda. They're fantastic. Low dust, low noise, but they work amazingly in all kinds of heat ranges. And they're gonna be amazing for this street weapon sleeper. It's all coming together. We've got brakes, we've got suspension, and we've got stopping power, which is what you need when you do a performance upgrade and a power upgrade. So the time has come to put the engine in the ED right behind me. And I've just gone ahead and replaced the rear main seal with a brand new genuine item. This is the old one. It was really, really badly leaking. All of this was all black. Inside the gearbox was black. The factory clutch was slipping its head off, and we thought we just needed to replace the clutch. Turned out this was leaking so badly, the whole clutch was wet, the flywheel was wet. This is the factory flywheel, I believe. It does look very light. I'm not sure if there's any markings on it that indicates aftermarket, but it's a very, very light flywheel. I just had that machined. You can see all the machining marks, and we're going to pair that up with an EXEDY heavy duty clutch. So this is the next step above factory. So this one is going to handle all the power. We're keeping this NA. It is going to be tuned on a Haltex, so it is going to be making more power than stock, but the heavy duty will handle that just fine. A factory clutch would handle a tuned NA one just fine, but we're going heavy duty. Why? Because we can, and because EXEDY is the brand that we trust and run in all of our cars. So let's get this and this all together on the engine. I'll get that torque down, then I'll put the gearbox on. We've just had the gearbox all resealed and refreshed. So new seals, front, rear, side to side, new boot. Everything's all greased up and it's been hot tanked and cleaned. Like I said, because of all that oil that was coming out of the rear main seal, it just made everything filthy. I couldn't tell what was leaking, what wasn't leaking. So we went through it, new input shaft seal, output shaft seals, and resealed up the gearbox. So we're not gonna have any of those issues. Fingers crossed moving forward. We've got a nice, clean, tidy OEM Plus build. That's what we've got here. So let's get this all mated up together and back in the car. How good is that quality of that EXEDY clutch? Even tells you transmission side and flywheel side. So we're going to stick that on now. Everything is torqued to spec, which I also wanted to show, and also this Home Developments little one-man kit. I really love this. I've used it twice already. It's been a lifesaver and literally fits on all Honda engines and probably works on a ton of other cars. It's not expensive. Grab yourself one. Ta-da! The engine is in. And as you can see, there is not a lot of room. So yes, we'll be going a custom radiator. We're gonna go with the Sirocco one. Plenty of room here, plenty of room there. Now that we've changed all that over and moved the prop valve. Plenty of room in the rest of the engine bay, but just none here. And absolutely none here in the back. So there's gonna have to be some kind of notching going on in the back here, but leave that to me. I don't know what we're gonna do with the heater. We do wanna still run the heater, but that's pretty much touching the exhaust. Not quite. I don't know what we're gonna do there. There's definitely gonna be some kind of a heat shield, and we've got to get those pipes to come back and join over here. So it's gonna be a pretty hefty U-turn, but performance-wise, everything is in and done for the first stage of dummy mock-up. And yeah, it's all gonna have to come out again so I can do that notching of the frame and clearance a few things and figure out what we're going to do with the alternator and radiator. And now we know we've got room to mount the power steering, and we still don't know what we're going to do about this aircon situation. Okay, so now you've seen it from the top. You can see it here from the bottom, and you can see where it was kicking my butt. So almost no daylight there. I've pretty much decided that I'm gonna have to take this subframe out or drop the engine again, probably the easiest. And I'm gonna have to notch the subframe there because that is gonna knock and clang and bang. The headers do come very, very close to there, so I'll heat those up and give a little tap in. That will not affect the flow or the power at all. So happy with that. Otherwise, everything else under here is looking good. We cannot, repeat, cannot fit the alternator in here with the factory alternator mounting point, which is just up there, and those two bolts down the bottom. So I'm gonna have to talk to the owner of the car and we'll see if he wants to go ahead with the T7 part, which moves the alternator down to here where the air conditioning used to be. There's plenty of room for it down here. We're not gonna hit anything, and it's a complete kit, so see if he wants to do that. I'm not gonna twist his arm. The other option is we just totally hack out this whole corner here of the headlight area. It shouldn't affect things. It's gonna look messy and dodgy, and it's probably not the smartest thing to do, but we'll give him all the options, see what he wants to do. But yeah, we cannot fit that in its factory location. Good news though, with the oil filter and having just that tiny little bit of room, it does come on and off. So we can still service the car, service the engine. So that's a relief. I was very worried about that because there was no way in hell we're gonna be dropping the motor just to change the oil, but it actually does come out. So that is a bonus. So besides notching the frame, we should be good to go. There is enough room and clearance here for the hybrid racing shifter box. I'm gonna have to look at moving the cat a fair way back because it's gonna be probably too hot and melty here. And this does hang quite a fair way down on the bottom of the car. Same with the sump. As you can see there, there is the rail, hangs just below that. So we're not gonna totally slam this car. We've got to put this on. This is a traction bar. Now factory, these cars have one. It's a really big, fat, chunky thing that bolts under here. So yeah, it sits there and would basically be right in the road. And we need to be able to get the traction arms to come through here so that the wheels don't wobble backwards and forwards, and to help with the grip and traction. The K-tuned bar inside this fancy ass box is a kit. Nice glossy black with all the hardware and everything we need, especially for an EXEDY chassis. So we're gonna get this bolted in. I'll show you what it looks like in just a moment. So here is the K-tuned traction bar all fitted up. Already came with the sticker on it, so that's pretty cool. Leave that on there. It was slightly complicated to figure out how to get it all together, but doesn't come with any instructions, but we got there, we figured it all out. Some extra bracing on the side, and yeah, really nice bit of gear. Alrighty, that's gonna pull it up for this episode. We got tons and tons accomplished. Coming up in the next video, we address all of the issues which we found in today's video, which is the exhaust clearance issues. That means notching the frame, the alternator clearance issue, which means an alternator relocation kit. And we've also found a solution and a place for the electric power steering, where that's gonna go. So if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this with your friends, anyone you know that's thinking about doing this conversion. And don't forget, spool up, bring the boost, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.